all things are practicable on identical principles, but there are some things which, when enlarged in imitation of small models, are effective, others cannot have models but are constructed independently of them, while there are some which appear feasible in models, but when they have begun to increase in size are impracticable, as we can observe in the following instance. A half-inch, inch, or inch and a half hole is bored with an auger. But if we should wish, in the same manner, to bore a hole a quarter of a foot in breadth, it is impracticable, while one of half a foot or more seems not even conceivable. 6. So too, in some models, it is seen how they appear practicable on the smallest scale and likewise on a larger. And so the Rhodians, in the same manner, deceived by the same reasoning, inflicted injury and insult on Diognetus. Therefore, when they saw the enemy stubbornly hostile, slavery threatening them because of the machine which had been built to take the city, and that they must look forward to the destruction of their state, they fell at the feet of Diognetus, begging him to come to the aid of the fatherland. He at first refused. 7. But after free-born maidens and young men came with the priest to implore him, he promised to do it on condition that if he took the machine it should be his property. When these terms had been agreed upon, he pierced the wall in the place where the machine was going to approach it, and ordered all to bring forth from public and private sources all the water, excrement, and filth, and to pour it in front of the wall through pipes projecting through this opening. After a great amount of water, filth, and excrement had been poured out during the night, on the next day the Helepolis, moving up, before it could reach the wall, came to stop in the swamp made by the moisture, and could not be moved forwards, nor later even backwards. And so Demetrius, when he saw that he had been baffled by the wisdom of Diognetus, withdrew with his fleet. 8. Then the Rhodians, freed from the war by the cunning of Diognetus, thanked him publicly, and decorated him with all honours and distinctions. Diognetus brought that Helepolis into the city, set it up in a public place, and put on it an inscription: Diognetus, out of the spoils of the enemy, dedicated this gift to the people. Therefore, in works of defence, not merely machines, but most of all, wise plans must be prepared. 9. Likewise at Chios, when the enemy had prepared storming bridges on their ships, the Chians by night carried out earth, sand, and stones into the sea before their walls. So, when the enemy on the next day tried to approach the walls, their ships grounded on the mound beneath the water, and could not approach the wall nor withdraw, but pierced with fire darts were burned there. Again, when Apollonia was again besieged, and the enemy were thinking by digging mines to make their way within the walls without exciting suspicion, and this was reported by scouts to the people of Apollonia, they were much disturbed and alarmed by the news, and having no plans for defence, they lost courage, because they could not learn either the time or the definite place where the enemy would come out. 10. But at this time Trypho, the Alexandrine architect, was there. He planned a number of countermines inside the walls, and extending them outside the wall beyond the range of arrows, hung up in all of them brazen vessels. The brazen vessels, hanging in one of these mines, which was in front of the mine of the enemy, began to ring from the strokes of their iron tools. So from this it was ascertained where the enemy, pushing their mines, thought to enter. The line being thus found out, he prepared kettles of hot water, pitch, human excrement, and sand heated to a glow. Then at night he pierced a number of holes, and pouring the mixture suddenly through them, killed all the enemy who were engaged in this work. 11. In the same manner, when Marseilles was being besieged, and they were pushing forward more than 30 mines, the people of Marseilles, distrusting the entire moat in front of their wall, lowered it by digging it deeper. Thus all the mines found their outlet in the moat. In places where the moat could not be dug, they constructed within the walls a basin of enormous length and breadth, like a fish pond, in front of the place where the mines were being pushed, and filled it from wells and from the port. And so, when the passages of the mine were suddenly opened, the immense mass of water let in undermined the supports, and all who were within were overpowered by the mass of water and the caving in of the mines. 12. Again, when a rampart was being prepared against the wall in front of them, and the place were heaped up with felled trees and works placed there, by shooting at it with the ballistae red hot iron bolts they set the whole work on fire, and when a ram tortoise had approached to batter down the wall, they let down a noose, and when they had caught the ram with it, winding it over a drum by turning a capstan, having raised the head of the ram, they did not allow the wall to be touched, and finally they destroyed the entire machine by glowing fire darts and the blows of ballistae. Thus by such victory, not by machines but in opposition to the principle of machines, has the freedom of states been preserved by the cunning of architects. Such principles of machines as I could make clear, and as I thought most serviceable for times of peace and of war, I have explained in this book. In the 9 earlier books I have dealt with single topics and details, so that the entire work contains all the branches of architecture set forth in 10 books. Finis. End of the 10 books on architecture by Marcus Vitruvius Pollio, translated by Morris Hickey Morgan.